Hey guys, we're Verona Rose,
and you're watching Locked In.
What's going on, guys? We're Verona Rose. Let me hear ya.
That city calls, gonna take you places you've never been. To give you all this life is sin. Bless your soul, my child.
God, please hope that we have a great gig and a great time. Really appreciate the crowd that's out there and appreciate these boys. Let's kick some ass. Amen.
Thank you, Jesus. Amen.
What up, guys? Matt from the Lightsout Collective, and I'm here with Verona Rose. Gentlemen, please introduce yourself.
Matthias, guitar.
I'm Andy, I play bass.
Johnny, lead vocals and guitar.
I'm Dante, I play drums and sing backup vocals.
I'm Ant, and I play the keyboards and sing.
Perfect. Well, welcome to the first episode of Locked In. This is where we kind of dive into people's passion projects, so we like to hear a little bit more about Verona Rose and your guys' story. The footage that you're seeing on screen, that's from your first show of the year, I believe, the one that we were at.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's where that footage comes from. Great show, great vibe. Just kind of break it down for us. Give us a little insight into what Verona Rose is.
So Verona Rose pretty much started with just Dante and myself.
And what's the relation?
Like the name?
No, just between you guys.
Oh, between us? Well, we are brothers.
brothers.
We are brothers.
Yeah.
If you can't if you couldn't tell,
If you couldn't
we are
figure
brothers.
it out. Except the beard and, clean shit.
Different
male
nice blonde
man.
hair, blue eyes. We are brothers. Music was always around in the family. My dad played guitar. He recorded back in the 80s, stuff like that. So, we always grew up singing. I sang in the choir growing up. I played guitar. Dante was basically banging on drums since he came out of the womb. You drive mom and dad nuts. But
On and off the stage. No.
Nothing has changed. But yeah, I mean, we played in high school together, and we just wanted to. We knew it was inevitable that both of us would be playing music together. But yeah, Verona Rose pretty much came about more or less like 2019, beginning COVID. We had a bunch of songs ready for an EP. A few that I'm sure you guys know, Sub Rosa, Real Cold were the first two that we did. And we're like, all right, well, we got to get in the studio. We didn't have a band. We didn't have any idea. We're like, oh, this could be cool. And we hooked up with our buddy Matty Alexander, and we still work with him to this day. And we just loved what he did back then. 2019, 2020 is the first time we worked with him with Verona Rose, and it was just kind of fell into place from there. So then we found these guys. It's kind of funny how we all met.
Yeah. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so one of your questions was about who we're influenced by and our biggest influences. So one of the founding members of Guns N' Roses, Steven Adler, was doing a show at Rascals in Worcester, playing all the songs from Appetite from Destruction.
What a show.
And so I was in the bathroom and ran into Giancarlo.
You ran into Mark.
And our good friend Mark, our videographer, and just kind of saw each other and liked our vibe, and we sparked a conversation. And Giancarlo was telling me about his other band, and I was telling him about my other band, and then he kind of showed me the song Ghosts that we have, and immediately I fell in love with that, and I wanted to be a part of it immediately. And since that day that we met, I've been along for the ride ever since that. So if it wasn't for us playing in that venue, Rascals, with our old bands, and for Guns N' Roses, technically we might not
Thanks, Steven Adler.
sitting here together. So if that interaction never happened, if one of us chose not to go, I wouldn't be sitting here. I wouldn't be sitting here today. So
and Mark too. Mark started talking to you.
So it's kind of funny how life works sometimes.
I wasn't there. I was in school. But they're like, Giancarlo calls me from school. Like, you should come down. You should have drove to the Steven Adler show.
If I knew about you, I probably wouldn't have even joined.
Yeah, he would have left the venue. That's what he would have done.
But yeah, Matthias, Andy, how did you guys come along? And what are some of your kind of inspirations as well?
God, as a kid growing up, I listened to a lot of Rush because that's mostly what was playing. My father, he's also a guitar player, so it's kind of how I got into it. I started on the piano, and then I picked up a bass because my brother was a drummer. My dad played guitar, and I thought bass was cooler than piano. Sorry, Anthony. But that's how I got into playing, and I started around 12 years old. I met these guys over the summer. There's this app called Vamper. It's like,
Thank God for Vamper.
yeah, right.
Thank God, yeah.
So I wouldn't be sitting
Tinder
here.
for musicians.
Yeah, exactly.
So it wasn't like Craigslist or anything like that?
no, that's for old people.
He met him on Grindr. I
Vamper's
thought
our,
it was for business portfolios. I thought it was.
Vamper's our cover-up story, but we met on Tinder.
Yeah. Thank you, technology, and Steve it up.
Find single musicians near you.
Yeah, so I started pulling up for practices over the summer, and I think the first time I came here, it was in like June, and it's funny because around that time, I was like, okay, I have my first practice with them next week. And then, like a day or two later, I wrecked my car.
You did.
So
Yeah.
You've been doing a lot of that recently.
yeah. That's another portion.
A lot of stuff's been breaking recently. Amps, drums. We'll get to that later.
So it wasn't. I mean, like we were in contact for like the next month, but they almost didn't even give me a shot because I didn't have a car. And luckily, I was able to get one and come through sooner than expected. So
I got that text that day. You were like, dude, I totaled my car. I'm going to need a week or two to recoup. I'm like, that's fine. And he showed up and learned 30 songs in 2 weeks. So we knew he was the guy. Matthias is like, that's the guy. I'll never forget that. We were upstairs. Matthias is like, that kid. That's
He could have took the Greyhound back here.
And he, you know.
So how do we meet? Speaking of rascals.
Oh, yeah. It all goes back to my trainer, Mike Carboni. He told me, he said, go to Worcester. It's Ace Frehley and Ace Frehley's drummer
Matt Starr.
and Bret Michaels.
Matt Starr,
and it's like $20 and they're going to show you how to be a rock star. And I was like, dude, I'm totally down for that. So I showed up and I'm like, wasn't Bret Michaels. I should have ran a little
Brett
closer.
Michaels guitar tech.
But hey, I'm taking the notes. I'm asking all the questions. They're like, Matthias, basically what you got to do is like just find a band, start talking to them. And as everybody's packing up, I'm talking to these jamokes. They're like, oh, blah, blah, your hair, blah, blah. I'm like, shut up. And Johnny walks in with Gibson and a Marshall, and I'm like, that's the guy. I'm like, sorry. I was in the middle of a conversation with somebody. I'm like, dude, I don't care. I'm sorry. I gotta go. There's something important. It was like God was calling my name. I was like, I don't have to explain myself. I just walked over. I was like, what are you playing a band or something? And that was that. That was it.
I was like, no, I'm just here to, hold Marshall amps
So
and wear a leather jacket.
We rocked and
Here to
rolled
stage.
for like a year in that band, and then it was when it was time to get Verona Rose all together. It's no question. No question.
Yeah.
So I know you had mentioned that you guys kind of formed this band around COVID. And for everybody, that was a very tough time throughout anyone's life. It was just a very awkward. Not many people have gone through a pandemic before to this magnitude. So I kind of want to talk about the struggles that kind of go on, both personally and as a band. Like, what do you guys face sometimes, or what are some of the struggles that you guys have to overcome in order to, be a band? Because it's hard. Like, we're part of a group of 5 or 6 people, and it's hard for everybody to get together at the same time and link up schedules. But to make all of this come true, like, what has been some of your hardships?
A lot of cars breaking, a lot of guitars breaking, a lot of amps breaking,
Heads
everything breaks.
Everything breaks. No, struggles. We love doing this first and foremost, just like you guys love doing what you guys love doing. But so I guess it doesn't really first and foremost feel like it's work to us. But in terms of struggles,
the hardest part is honestly just getting that gig.
Yeah, just getting
that gig.
just
Getting
keeping
out
the
there.
train rolling. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, we're a rock and roll band, right? So people have been saying rock and roll has been dead since the 60s. You know what I mean? I was actually listening to this can't remember who it was, but was listening to a podcast yesterday, and they're like, is rock and roll... Oh, no, it was Marty Schwartz. That's who it was on YouTube, the guitar guy. And he was like, you know, is rock music dead? Like, so just it's alive and well. We all know it. I mean, we all have favorite bands that we listen to, and it's like just it's tough being in this genre. It really is. I mean, almost all new rock music is do it yourself. You know, labels aren't what they were. You know, backing isn't what it was. So just keeping the lights on is hard.
For example, like show last Friday, you know, you show up to a dive bar, there's like maybe 50 people. You got, you know, you're hauling all the equipment, you're hauling the sound guy's equipment. You go up there, you get it all together, you play a show. We did 3.5 hours, you know?
Yeah.
Like, by the end of that, your guitar is, like, getting heavy. You know, everything's getting heavy. All at the end of the day, it's like, you pay off the sound guy, you pay off the van, it's like, okay, the bar tab, it's like, nothing. You got nothing. So, but, hey, you do those small, you keep it up, and, you know, we get a lot of momentum, you know? But
So that point, you brought up COVID, and there was a good period. I remember playing a show St. Patrick's Day weekend, the Saturday before. Everything got shut down the following Sunday. And there was a period it was basically from then into, I think, October, when people started to open back up again. And then they were starting to allow live music to happen again. And then they were kind of shutting down places. And they said, if you have a singer, you can't have live music because it spreads through the air.
Jeez.
So they had to do some outside shows. But during that 7-month period without any live music, it was like, are we even ever going to get to do something like this again? So it kind of puts it in perspective when you have those nights. It's like just the fact that wasn't, it feels like it wasn't that long ago, but I mean, now looking back, it was almost 5 years ago.
I mean,
It's crazy. But I never forget that it was kind of uncertain if we would ever be able to do this again.
do it again.
Any capacity. And now it's, knock on wood, kind of gotten back to a normal. So it's good that is, you know, things are kind of
The
starting
biggest
to...
struggle for me, honestly, was like just finding the right group. Like, I played in a couple of bands previous to Verona Rose, and it's always something.
The jungle out there.
Yeah. So I met these guys after my last band broke up, and I just kind of decided I had enough with that group, and I met these guys, and we've been brothers since.
Just mesh well. So kind of bouncing back on the point where it's like Matthias had said, you know, at the end of the show, you're paying out this person, that person, you know, and you kind of walk away with like the scraps almost. Now, I don't want to say scraps, but it almost comes to the point where, and then even like as you said, Ant, with COVID, like you guys didn't know that whether or not you'd be able to do this again. And I know it's very like challenging sometimes to want to keep the ball rolling, and you know, especially when you're faced with uncertainty, or you can even be discouraged when you don't see immediate kind of return. How does that kind of fit into like you guys' mentality? Because obviously you've overcome it, right? So you're still here, you're still rolling. What is that kind of pushing or motivating factor where it's like we have to keep going?
Well, we all do it, like I said, because we love it. You know, I think it's what keeps me going is the thing that got me into it in the first place. Like, you remember Guitar Hero and you know, all that stuff. Like, just being around music, just the love of it. I mean, you gotta be. I tell, you know, Matthias and I have talked about this a few times, but we've all really talked about it to an extent. But you gotta be nuts to want to do this. You really do. It's like.
well, you know, it's like why do you go to work in the morning?
Yeah.
Like you gotta.
You don't have a choice.
Exactly.
You don't have a choice.
Like you can either like
what's the alternative? You know?
Yeah, you can either go home and watch football and just drink Bud Light, or you can go out and have some fun playing a band with some of your best
While
friends.
drinking Bud Light.
While drinking Bud Light, yeah.
Especially we're all young. It's like, what do we
Or
got
cheap
to
wine.
lose, you know?
I think, I mean, everyone knew going into this that this is what you're signing up for. You're signing up for hard times, great times, plateaus. But, I mean, it's to an understanding that we all know it's that, it's part of the game. It's like sales. I mean, think about it, really. Like, you have good weeks, you have bad weeks, but it's part of the game.
Yeah. And I think, when it comes to music and instruments and gear and everything, it's such an investment, money-wise, Well, not only money, but your time, energy, So when you don't see the kind of that immediate return and you're like, well, I'm funneling all this money into getting out there and performing shows and stuff like that, it can be discouraging, but...
Oh, if we thought about the money, then it'd be over.
Yeah, we don't do this. I don't think we got into this for the money by any means. I mean, it's pretty, apparent on that piece. But the hope is that eventually, what you do, whatever art form it is, resonates with somebody or something or people around you.
I think that in itself is a good mentality. When you go into your passion, not for fortune and fame, you're doing it because you truly love it. And you make these sacrifices because you want to be there, and I think that's where a lot of people kind of crumble and fall because they're like, "Oh, I'm not making any money, or no one's watching my shit. Why should I keep going?"
Yeah.
You have something?
Well, one of the things I always put in the back of my head, as cliche as it may sound during every show, is just like, what if this was my last show that I was ever playing? It puts it in perspective that you would really leave it all out there, and it would put it in perspective of, I better, give this everything I have, because, nothing's guaranteed, just in life in general. And then even if it's one person in a bar, a dive bar, or 100 people or 1,000 people, give it the same energy, because you never know who that one person could be. Recently I saw a video of I think it was Chapel Roan performing in a small club, and her song Pink Pony Club, just to a couple people.
Yep.
And then, she hits the chorus, and the transition goes to a giant music festival, and she's singing the same song, the same chorus in front of a couple people to hundreds of thousands of people.
Yep.
So it absolutely can happen to anybody.
Right. What has been the most rewarding kind of part of the process so far?
Want to go down the line?
I'll say, that Boston gig we did was awesome. When you're playing, when you finally get all the people. I don't think the money, like any of the other things. It doesn't matter. Like when you're playing with a bunch of people and they're all singing and clapping, they're singing your song. It's like, that was sick. I mean, we had them all clapping and singing Ghost, I believe.
Yeah.
I will say, so you guys play like covers, but you do have your own music, and kind of, seeing the crowd sing your originals.
Yeah.
It's a trip.
That's it. That's where it's at.
It's a trip.
Yeah, for me, I mean, it's kind of what Matthias is saying. It's like, there's a difference between playing, like, the bigger venues, like the bigger cities. It's like we play, like, a very diverse scene.
Older people, younger people, college
It's like we
kids.
play for them all, yeah. I get the biggest energy from the bigger venues. Andy and I just went to the spot called Capo. And it's just like, it just hits different where they're, like, not only kids your age, but, like, just bigger spots. And it's just like, the energy's like, So, but yeah.
For me, I would just say a couple things. Like, obviously, first and foremost, the music. Like, we wouldn't be doing this, obviously, if it weren't for that. And we all do believe in these songs and this music. That's obviously rewarding. But, besides the fans, really, these guys around me, honestly. I wouldn't want to be in another group at all with any other set of guys. These guys are excellent players. We all come from different backgrounds, different tastes, and it's rewarding to get into a rehearsal spot with them or to step on a stage, no matter how many of the people in front of us.
Nice to hear. All right, so I know, like I said, the footage from your first show is on screen from, obviously it's 2025. What does the future of Verona Rose hold going forward, obviously, into the rest of the year?
Coming to a town near you. Just playing our asses off, really. We are a newer band, especially with this lineup. So a record is on the way. we have original music. Again, we are an original modern sounding rock band. So new music is in the cards in the near future. And
Traveling.
We are going to Los Angeles at the end of the summer at the world famous Whiskey A Go Go, opening for John Corabi. So
Would you say that's like kind of your biggest break so far?
probably so
As
far.
of thus far.
Thus far, yeah.
Thus far, yeah.
Yeah,
Thus
I mean
far.
that's a legendary venue, and was talking with
It's
each.
an honor.
To go cross country too, right?
Yeah,
Coast to coast, literally.
It's an honor to
Yeah.
be on the same stage as, some of the legends of the music that we love,
the Doors, Zeppelin,
Michael Jackson.
Guns N' Roses,
You name it.
Rush.
Long way from playing in Matthias's basement.
Hey, I called the cops. They're not gonna be there.
Yeah, so we will be very busy.
Yeah.
And we'll be coming to a stage near you for sure. Check out VeronaRoseBand.com. I don't know if you get that over
Use
there.
the
but
QR code.
Use the
for
QR
video
code.
that you're watching. Make sure you have a second device to use the camera up on that QR code while you're watching this
If
video.
you're watching from a mobile device and trying to scan it.
Make sure you have a second mobile
I don't
device.
think it works.
Second mobile device.
You can follow us on Instagram at Verona Rose Band, and we're also on Facebook where we post all of our shows as well as on the website.
Spotify, Apple Music,
Spotify, yeah.
Verona
Anywhere you
Rose.
get your music,
YouTube even, if you don't want to pay.
Yeah. Don't steal that shit.
guys are there.
Go stream our latest song, City Car, out on Spotify and
That's
all
a
your
fun one.
platforms.
I want to thank you guys for obviously taking the time out of your practice schedule to sit down and talk.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys for doing
for
this.
having
us.
Good
Yeah,
luck.
no.
Good. We're
Thanks for having
honored
us.
to be,
Honored.
the first
Yeah.
kind of this session, but I think it's a great thing that you both are doing.
Yeah, it's great you guys are doing this.
Even if this reaches one person, it inspires them to,
Pop out at a show.
or even if they have a passion of their own, whether it's music
Start
or
a band
something
of their
else,
own.
to just keep doing whatever it is that they do.
Whether you like gardening, laying
Yeah.
pipe, not literally.
Laying brick.
Or you want a
Laying some
Slurpee at
rebound.
7-Eleven.
You want to become a plumber?
Whatever gets you out of bed.
Or they want to go buy some Planters peanuts.
But
We're motivational speakers now.
you guys have shown adversity through, the hardships and the struggles. So that's, at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to show is, if one person or one group can do it, who's to say, you shouldn't go out and pursue it as well. So again, thank you guys for being first on the show, and catch you in the next one.
Thank you, guys. Have a great night. Drive home safe. Verona Rose, Worcester, Massachusetts. Thank you.
Hey guys, we're Verona.
Do you have one of those movies that
I'm Johnny.
I'm
I'm
Andy.
Dante.